Hi, thank you for joining me again tonight. Tonight, a friend invited me to a meeting with a group of ladies called Women of Worth. And I think their philosophy, if I understand it correctly, is to share the gospel with women wherever they are in their life and just be accepting and look for opportunities just to reach out and share. Tonight's event was women who had tattoos. They called their models, they called them, and the have let them explain why they had their tattoos, what their tattoos meant to them. And it was really interesting because every one of them had a story to share, and their tattoos had something to do with their story. Um, some of the tattoos, there was like an upside down rose, there were angel wings, there was pictures of mom, someone's signature, a dad's signature on their arm, a little verse just to help them remember what their purpose in life was for, who they were living for. Um, there was a blue dot. I'm trying to think. There was a beautiful watercolor flowers where the color was just it just looked like looking like a painting. I saw a cactus. But it was really neat listening to their stories. I'm not going to share their stories because it's their stories to share. But what I did want to bring it up was just um, tattoos are very accepted these days and times. And in fact, it's rare if you don't see a tattoo on a person, or, there might be one on their ankle, or it might be one on their wrist, might be on the back of the neck. And then there's people, of course, they're covered with their tattoos. And people, get them for various reasons. When I was growing up, way back, tattoos were usually only like servicemen had tattoos, or someone that you probably wouldn't invite in for dinner with your family. But so it was rare to see a tattoo, and when you did see one, it was like a ship, mom, some cliche tattoo that you're used to seeing. Um, and I say way too much. I'm so sorry. John had a tattoo, and John's tattoo was of the Starship Enterprise, and it was on his upper arm, and it was a pretty good size. It took up the biggest, a big chunk of his upper arm, and USS Enterprise, and then it had the colors like it was going into warp speed, and he got that tattoo. He just came home with it one day. There was not a discussion of, hey, Beck, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo. What do you think? He just came home with a tattoo. I thought my husband is having a midlife crisis. That's honestly what I thought. Um, it was probably late 90s, before tattoos were, everybody was getting tattoos and it was pretty normal. And I thought, okay, whatever's going on with you, tattoo, we could deal with that. But that tattoo came to represent John just so beautifully. I mean, he was always a star trekker, Trekkie. We don't call Trekkies anymore. He was a star trekker. That's where, when early in our marriage, we'd watch the old Star Trek almost daily. And you really got into it because you got to love the characters. He loved Star Wars. He loved Lord of the Rings. Anything that kind of told that story of, getting out there and having an adventure and exploring. But, there was those relationships inside that story. I remember when Lord of the Rings came out, that was such a big deal. In our household, that was a really big deal. Um, that tattoo on his arm, it's one of the last things that I remember Cam touching when we were saying goodbye to John that night. Um, I don't even have a picture of it. Cam said there's a picture on an old phone. It's probably one of those before phones really had good cameras. And I think it was one of those, and I'm not even for sure how to get it off. But I just remember it was one of the things that we sit there and we looked at and we held his hand and we touched. It it was simply John. They'd peek out when he'd wear short sleeve shirts in the summertime. Cam has a tattoo. He got one when he moved to New York, and he told me, I don't think he told me about it beforehand, but he got one of the Lord of the Rings trees, and it's on the same area that John had his. And I did ask him why he got it. He said it reminded him of his dad. So I guess if you like, you could wear your love and your memories on your arm. That's what those ladies shared tonight. Was the tattoos meant something. I don't know what John's meant. Just that he loved Star Trek. Um, anyway, there was a lady. Her tattoo was a blue dot, and it represented her. I think it's her radiation, where they gave her radiation for her cancer. So when she sees it, she remembers that time. But we all have tattoos. I don't have one. Not a visual tattoo, but we wear something, maybe invisible. You may display it proudly of what your life story is and what your tattoos mean to your life story. It's an event, something happened to you, you lived through it, or it's just a beautiful piece of art and you love it. Whatever the reason for the tattoos, every time I see a tattoo from now on, I'm pretty sure I'm going to ask if there's a meaning behind it. Some tattoos, blinking, look a little scary, but most of them these days are really beautiful. And I know I'm not going to be tempted to get one because I don't like pain. But if you see someone out there with a tattoo, ask them if what it represents, if there was a meaning behind it. And you never know what you'll learn from a person. So I thought that it was pretty interesting tonight. I was really touched, and I'm glad I went. So until tomorrow night, thank you for listening to me rattle on. Bye bye.